The air atop sacred Jade Mountain was thin, sharp, and perpetually scented with frost and polished steel. It was here, within the clouds, that Lian Hua, the Purity Blade, lived a life defined by perfect discipline. Her hands, delicate as porcelain, were capable of holding the Starfall sword with an unmoving steadiness that no other disciple could match. She was the embodiment of the Jade Mountain sect's core tenet: emotional detachment is the path to true power. Lian Hua had taken the Oath of Iron at the age of 5, swearing to uphold the sex code above all else, above self, above family, and most dangerously, above the chaotic pull of the mortal heart. To break the oath was to break herself. The punishment was exiled, the loss of her cultivation, and a lifetime of unending shame. Yet even the sharpest blade can be dulled by a gentle rain. Her conflict began 6 seasons ago, down in the muddy, vibrant city of River's End, a place of noise and warmth she rarely visited. She was there on a mission, cold and focused. It was there she met by Feng, the White Phoenix. He was a master of the Whispering Shadow style, a man renowned across the martial world not for his adherence to rules, but for his dazzling, effortless irreverence. His style was fluid, unpredictable, a direct insult to the rigid precision of the Jade Mountain. He moved like smoke and struck like lightning. Bai Feng was laughing as she first saw him, standing atop a tea-house roof, having just outwitted 3 bounty hunters who were now tangled in their own ropes on the street below. His laughter was a warm, rich sound that seemed to chase the cold from her own heart. A sensation she had not known existed. It was terrifyingly pleasant. Lian, whose initial duty was to observe him. The elders suspected him of stealing the sect's ancient manual on the formless shift, a technique so dangerous it had been sealed for centuries. She observed him for weeks, tracking his movements, recording his audacious acts of kindness towards the poor, and cataloging the way his eyes would crinkle when he smiled. She was supposed to find proof of his crime. Instead, she found herself spending silent, stolen hours with him under the willow trees by the river. He never pressured her, sensing the immense internal barriers she had built. He simply talked about the world outside the mountain, about music, spiced wine, and the freedom of having no ties. "Honor is a magnificent cage, Lian Hua," he told her one night, tossing a smooth skipping stone across the river. "But love is a broken lock, and freedom is the key." She never confessed her mission. He, in turn, never spoke of his movements, the whispers that followed him, or the shadow that seemed to cling to his own elegant sword. Their meetings became fewer, but their intensity grew. The air between them was electric, charged with the violation of her sacred vows. Lian Hua was failing the Oath of Iron, not through a grand betrayal, but through a slow, agonizing thaw of her discipline. She was falling deeply in love with a man the world called a rogue. The official decree came one rain-swept morning. Bai Feng had been captured by the allied sects. The stolen manual was found in his possession. He was guilty. The crime was treason against the spirit of the martial world. His sentence was public execution, the crystalline death, a slow, freezing process designed to preserve the body in a state of shame. Lian Hua felt the news pierce her chest like a spear, but her face, perfected by decades of training, remained impassive. No elder saw the fracture. Her master, Elder Qing, summoned her. "Lian Hua," he said, his voice a dry rustle of silk. "Your loyalty and lack of sentiment are peerless. You will accompany the guard detail. You will stand beside him, an unbreakable symbol of the sect's righteous judgment," the elder commanded. "If he attempts escape, you will strike the final blow. It will be the ultimate test of your purity blade," Elder Qing finished. Lian Hua bowed low, her spine straight as a lance. "As the master commands, my honor is the sect's honor." But the words were ashes in her mouth. She felt a cold dread, not of the task itself, but of the heart-wrenching impossibility of performing it. She was given a day to prepare. That night she stood alone on the mountain peak, watching the distant lights of the valley where Bai Feng was imprisoned. The Starfall sword felt impossibly heavy in her hand. Steel was meant to cleave mountains, not hearts. She pictured the crystalline death, a ritual where icy ki was funneled into the victim, crystallizing the blood and freezing the life force slowly from the extremities inward. She could not let that beautiful, vibrant life be extinguished in such a dishonorable, painful way, no matter his guilt. But to save him meant confirming his treason and damning herself. Confirming the elder's worst fears about the weakness of emotion. This was the profound choice. Honor was a mountain. Love was the single flower growing on its unforgiving cliff face. The next morning, the guard detail, 12 disciples of the highest rank, marched Lian Hua down the mountain and into the valley. The execution grounds were packed. Thousands of people from various sects and common folk had gathered to watch the fate of the White Phoenix. Bai Feng was chained to a bronze pillar, his shoulders slumped but his head held high. Even stripped of his weapons, he radiated a dangerous dignity. Lian Hua marched toward him, her armor gleaming, her movements mechanical. She took her designated place beside the pillar, her sword drawn, her eyes locked with his. Bai Feng offered her a faint, understanding, smile that held neither fear nor bitterness, only resignation. The sight of that genuine warm expression broke through the last of her emotional defenses. She knew then what she had to do. The head magistrate began reading the decree, his voice booming across the silent square. Detailing Bai Feng's crimes and the sanctity of the oath, Lian Hua felt a tremor start deep within her chest, a silent scream of impending treason. Her heart was a frantic drumbeat against the steady rhythm of the magistrate's voice. She glanced at the elder Qing, who stood sternly at the podium. His face was a mask of cold satisfaction. The magistrate reached the final lines. Now let the ice begin its purifying work. Let his shame be eternal. 2 execution masters stepped forward, their hands glowing with pale blue energy, ready to initiate the crystalline death. Just as the first touch was about to be made, a sound ripped through the silence. A sharp, desperate cry. It was Lian Hua. The sound felt foreign, alien, the first true noise of emotion she had allowed herself to make in 20 years. She moved not with the grace of the purity blade, but with the raw, desperate speed of a betrayed heart. Her sword, Starfall, did not strike Bai Feng. It struck the bronze chains binding him to the pillar. The high-pitched clang of steel meeting bronze echoed through the square, stunning the crowd into absolute silence. The chains snapped like dried reeds. Bai Feng was free. Elder Qing's face contorted in a silent snarl of disbelief. Lian Hua, what have you done? His voice cracked. Lian Hua didn't look at him. She dropped her ceremonial armor, discarding the weight of her rank, revealing only the simple inner robes of a disciple. She reached out to Bai Feng. Run. I cannot hold them for long. Bai Feng hesitated for only a second, his eyes wide with a mix of shock and profound gratitude. Lian Hua ... go. Now, she repeated, her voice firm. This was the moment. She had chosen. Honor had failed. Love had won. The disciples of the guard detail, her former peers, reacted with immediate, confused fury. They drew their swords, moving to surround her. Traitor, you've broken the oath, one disciple screamed, his face white with rage. Lian Hua raised the Starfall sword, its legendary steel now turned against her own sect. The weight of this action was unimaginable. She had not forgotten her training. She unleashed the full power of the Purity Blade style, but infused it with the very emotion she was trained to suppress: desperation. The Purity Blade was designed for clean, righteous cuts. Lian Hua used it now for distraction, defense, and overwhelming force. She parried 3 attacks simultaneously, the resulting clash of ki throwing dust and rocks into the air. Bai Feng, regaining his senses, grabbed a discarded weapon from one of the execution masters, a heavy steel hook. He moved with the effortless flow of the whispering shadow, darting through the guards, creating a diversion. Lian Hua fought with a fierce, reckless energy. She saw Elder Qing raise his hand, preparing a devastating killing blow. This was the end. She braced for the inevitable, accepting the price for her betrayal. Just as the elder unleashed his formidable palm strike, Bai Feng threw the steel hook, not at the elder, but at the main support beam of the podium. The heavy beam splintered, causing a massive stone statue of the sect founder to topple directly onto the elder's position. Elder Qing was forced to halt his attack and divert his ki to protect himself from the collapsing stone. This bought them a precious window of time. The south gate, Lian Hua. Bai Feng shouted, already moving like a ghost toward the perimeter. She didn't hesitate, abandoning the fight and following him. Leaving her sacred sword, the symbol of her honor, embedded in the ground where the elder had stood. They sprinted toward the edges of the city, the shouts and chaos of the remaining disciples fading behind them. They escaped the city walls, running until the sound of pursuit was only a faint echo in the distance. They stopped near an old, forgotten ruin, miles from the nearest human settlement, collapsing onto the dusty ground, gasping for air. Lian Hu had looked down at her hands. They were trembling, not from exhaustion, but from the realization of what she had done. She was no longer Lian Hua, the purity blade. She was an exile, an oathbreaker, a fugitive. Her entire life, her entire identity, had been shattered by a single choice. "You broke your life for me," Bai Feng whispered, his voice thick with emotion. He reached out and gently touched her cheek. "I chose," she corrected him, her voice hollow. "I chose the single flower over the barren mountain. I chose your life over my honor." He pulled her close, a fierce, protective embrace that she had never allowed herself to feel before. It was rougher than the sexed cold stone, yet infinitely warmer. "Your honor did not fail," Bai Feng argued, holding her tighter. "It simply changed its allegiance. It now belongs to your heart." Lian Hua shook her head, tears finally tracing paths through the dust on her cheeks. "The oath is absolute." "I am nothing now. You are everything," he insisted. "You are courage. You are the fire that melts the ice. I will protect this new honor with my life." They spent the next few days in the ruins, hiding, planning their escape to the untamed western regions where the sex reach was weak. Lian Hua felt the true weight of her decision. The shame was a physical presence, a constant ache in the place where her sex loyalty used to reside. She missed the sharp, clean simplicity of her former life. The clear lines of right and wrong, the unwavering certainty of her duty. Now everything was complicated, messy, and dependent on the unpredictable chaos of love. She watched Bai Feng practice his techniques, a graceful, silent dance in the ruins, and understood why the elders feared him. His style was freedom incarnate, a refusal to be bound by tradition, and it was undeniably beautiful. She knew the elders would hunt them to the ends of the earth, but for the first time, the danger did not frighten her. It was the vast, unknown expanse of emotional commitment that scared her, the terror of a bond that could never be severed by a sword. Bai Feng found her one evening, staring into a small, dark pool of water, her reflection a broken image. "Are you ready to leave this continent, Leon?" "Who?" he asked softly, sitting beside her. She turned to him, the old, rigid mask finally gone, replaced by the raw vulnerability of a woman in love. "My cultivation is fading," she confessed, placing her hand over her lower dancian. "The oath is rejecting me. The ice is melting." "Let it melt," Bai Feng said, taking her hand. "The purity blade is gone, but I will teach you the whispering shadow. We will build a new honor together." She looked at his face, framed by the moonlight, saw not a rogue or a criminal, but the profound choice made real. She smiled, a small, genuine expression that felt more powerful than any martial technique she had ever mastered. The day honor failed was the day a new, fiercer, and more meaningful life began. The silence of the mountain was replaced by the vibrant noise of freedom. She stood, pulling him up with her. Her path was uncertain, shadowed by the anger of the Jade Mountain, but illuminated by a single burning promise. They left the ruins, moving west into the setting sun, two fugitives bound by a single, unbreakable cord forged in betrayal and love. Lian Hua carried no sword, but she felt stronger than she ever had on the mountain. Her heart was now her shield. "Now that you've witnessed Lian Hu's profound choice, tell us, was her choice an act of ultimate honor or ultimate betrayal?" Comment, like, share, and subscribe to Storycraft Studio.